LA Dodgers, they have banned ice cream from entering the stadium. As the court sides with Trump, here we go.
Aware of any planned federal actions.
Officers are just showing up. We don't even know what type of officers they are. They're masked, as you saw. They don't present their ID. It said Border Patrol. Are they Border Patrol? Are they ICE? Are they Federal Protective Services? It is a sense of confusion and chaos. Our police department, our police chief, had no knowledge of this.
Damn ice cream. That is our new name for ice cream. All right. So the LA Dodgers and Trump administration, this saga is like an SNL skit, but reality television. And Donald Trump is the star. So LA Dodgers and Trump have found themselves, in a battle, and they're at odds over federal agents that were denied entry to the MLB Stadium. Now, last time I checked, the MLB Stadium, obviously, this is not property owned by the federal government, which provides for them constitutional protections. Ice cream, they believe that somehow these constitutional protections do not apply to said constitutional entity. The officials were escorted from the premises by who? Law enforcement. That's why I'm calling them ice cream, because obviously they're the ones that are breaking the law. LAPD, in this case, they are the actual cops. They're the ones enforcing law. Reports began to circulate that federal agents were present at the stadium outside downtown Los Angeles, sparking concerns that the Trump administration's immigration crackdown was coming to the home of the World Series champions hours before a game against the Padres. Damn. Protesters rushed to the area, began chanting anti-ICE slogans at the federal agents. Now, you got to give it to Trump for being inventive and creative. So he wanted the big headline. That's all he's going for. We know that. He wanted the cameras to already be there. He doesn't have to work for earned media. He doesn't have to send out a press release prior. Cameras already there, just go there. And these federal agents decided to say yes to whatever command structure gave the order. Now, the Dodgers posted on X that ICE had come to the stadium, requested access to the grounds, and that request was denied. All right, we're good. This is well within everyone's constitutional right. The federal government, they have a right to request. Private citizen has a right to deny. Everybody's good. Nobody's been violated. Okay? But not long after that, the Department of Homeland Security, so now we got DHS involved, stated that the agents who were at Dodger Stadium were not from ICE, and their presence wasn't related to the immigration crackdown that has roiled Los Angeles. Well, wait a minute. So one federal agency, this is interesting. So the Department of Homeland Security, they came out with a statement and said, Immigration, Customs and Enforcement, they weren't the ones there. Well, why can't ICE say that? They're a federal agency. Why does it take another federal agency to say this federal agency wasn't present? And then, I'll be damned, a third federal agency, the U.S. Customs Border Protection Agency, were in a nearby parking lot. Y'all can't make this stuff up, man. They were in a nearby parking lot or near the grounds, and one of them had a car malfunction that caused them to stay longer. Yes. Longer, according to the CBP official who maintained there were no operations related to the LB Club. All right. So I think we got to the bottom of it now, right? We got 3 or 4 federal agencies involved in a guy who, now what happened to him? His car malfunctioned. All because of a car malfunction. All right. But here's the thing, video shown by affiliate KABC News showed federal agents stationed, agents plural, yes, stationed on one of the streets leading up to the stadium. CNN has reached out to ICE for comment. I see why ICE didn't say anything. Okay, got it. We could have figured it out when ICE did not say, hey, we're ICE and we weren't there. The Dodgers had been expected Thursday to announce a plan to assist the immigrant community impacted by the recent, round of immigration operations, but that announcement has now been delayed, quote, because of the events earlier today. Dodgers president Stan Kasten told the Los Angeles Times. A new appeals court ruling says Trump can keep National Guards in Los Angeles for now. I disagree with that ruling. We talked about it last week on the show. That ruling, in my opinion, does not restore status quo. That typically is what you do in an appeal situation. It maintains something that is not status quo, which is the president having control of the guard. Now, a federal appeals court in San Francisco said Thursday that Donald Trump can keep the California National Guard in Los Angeles for now, delivering a win for the president as he aims to use the military to police protests against his deportation efforts. The unanimous decision from the 3-judge panel of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, 2 of whom were appointed by Trump in his first term, and the 3rd was appointed by Biden, said that Trump appears to have lawfully deployed the National Guard in the city, even though he did not consult California Governor Gavin Newsom. On social media, Trump hailed the decision as a big win and suggested that it would open the door for similar deployments across the United States if he determines that local law enforcement is, quote, unable for whatever reason to get the job done, end quote. Now, if he decides that law enforcement is not capable, he will deploy trained killers to said district where the police are incapable. Now, I want to talk to every police officer, every detective, every member of SWAT, every community cop, resource officer, chief, sheriff. Where does it leave you? Where does that leave your command? Has the Trump administration spoken to you about this potential blueprint? What about the legality of it? The president can't even go to war without a declaration from the United States Congress, but the president can go to war with you without one? None of this makes sense. It's unprecedented. At some point, you got to speak up. They're not coming after your deplorables. They're not coming after the folk that you may be bigoted against or the worst criminals among you. They were using them as proxy to get to the ultimate point, which is simply control. Control of it all, including you. All right. Last thoughts here.
Dr. Richey, you said a couple of great points. First of all, you said, why didn't ICE make this statement? Why did Homeland Security make this statement? And in my mind, I thought they're the same, but they're not. I just looked it up, and ICE is a specific agency within the larger Department of Homeland Security.
Correct.
So to your point, ICE should have made the statement, number one. Number two, you call them ice cream, and I thought you were calling them ice cream because they're creaming all over our constitutional rights. They're getting rid of our constitutional rights. There's no due process. They're just pulling people off the streets, putting them in a van, taking them to Louisiana, taking them down to El Salvador. So that's number two. Number three, this excuse that the guy's car broke down. I don't know about you, Dr. Richey. When my car breaks down, I don't call for the cavalry to show up. Right. I call AAA. Right. So if that dude in his car that broke down from Customs and Border Patrol had sat there with AAA, putting jumper cables on his car, okay, you know what? We misconstrued your presence at the Dodgers game. However, that was not the case. And again, it goes back to this idea of, listen, at least admit what you're doing. Don't try to hide it with smoke and mirrors. We know what was going on because after the fact that the Dodgers didn't allow these guys to come on their property, as you stated, they were down the street stopping people that immigrant-y. Yep. That means brown. We're just stopping them. Let me see your papers. And let's not forget, all of this right now stems from the last point you just made. During the election, he kept saying there's 20 million violent criminals that are undocumented. We're going to get rid of them. They come into power. They realize there ain't that many undocumented violent criminals. Matter of fact, immigrants commit fewer crimes per capita than citizens do. And so they realize, we don't have enough immigrants, undocumented immigrants to deport. So Stephen Miller goes to the ICE agency per the Wall Street Journal, and he says, you guys got to up your quota to 3,000 deportations a day. Now, you and I both know anytime there's a quota for a law enforcement agency, that's just going to cause trouble. That's what happens quite often when people say, end of the month, those traffic police are out there, they're trying to hit a quota and they're pulling people over. Well, here we are now with a quota of deportations. So they go, okay, we don't have that many violent criminals that are undocumented. Let's find us 3,000 undocumented immigrants every day. And then they come to realize, first of all, I live in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is a city of immigrants. The population here are mostly immigrants, and we get along just fine. But they're starting to realize, wow, we're going into these restaurants and we're going into these workplaces and we're going on to these farms in Oxnard where there's people picking strawberries and we're plucking them out and we're sending them away. And we saw Donald Trump. This is what blows my mind, Dr. Richey. Donald Trump just last week goes, there's people that have been working on these farms for 20 years and they're good people and in these restaurants and we're going to change the policy. As if you shouldn't you have thought of that before you started this policy? How are these people running their government? They just go. It's kind of what they did with Doge. Let's just fire everybody. Ooh, we need air traffic controls. Let's bring them back. Ooh, we need people working on our nuclear department. Let's bring them back. So it's this throw things against the wall, see what sticks. Oh my gosh. This is taking away from businesses in California. Then let me reverse my policy. And then he comes back and re-reverses the policy. They're back to going to Home Depot. They're back to going to restaurants. They're back to going to these farms. And I can't wait, Dr. Richey, for the economy to take this hit that it's going to take when strawberries cost $100 a basket, when you go to the restaurant and your food takes an hour to show up because there's not enough people working in the kitchen. I can't wait for that to happen so that the economy tanks and these people realize selfishly that what they're doing is not only cruel, but it's stupid.
That's right. And truly inevitable. So we'll bring you the updates when it happens.